What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Prairie Puck Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Here with Jackson from Jets Hub as always, and Zach from the Nolan Hockey Podcast. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing well. At 2:45 in the morning. How are you holding up, Zach?
I'm fine. I'm doing better than Carter.
Carter is no longer with us, ladies and gentlemen.
He didn't die. Let's just make that clear.
Well, kind of didn't. No.
He crashed, but he didn't die.
He crashed, but he didn't burn. But yeah, welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. Jets are on a roll right now, and it is fun. Like, it's just been, there's nothing even bad to say about this team right now. Like, it has just been good times lately for watching them, and I don't even know what to say about it, man. It's just been fun times. Like, it's great because, like, last year, every game it felt like it was just always a down. It was always downwards. There was never any point in the season where it picked up a little bit. Maybe a 2-game win streak if they were lucky at that. And this year is just so different. It's night and day, and it's just so much fun. Like, it's just fun watching Jets hockey again, and it's been a long time coming for, I feel like. I know you guys probably feel the exact same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's weird with this team this year, even with all the injuries before everybody got healthy. I thoroughly believe that if you put that team up against the team that they iced last year fully healthy, this year's team mops the floor every single time. Even with Carson Kuhlman on the first line, it's just like such a different vibe here. Everybody's so locked in. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. No one's just on the ice to be on the ice. It's so refreshing. So very exciting. And now that they're healthy, it's even better. It's just so much fun to watch. Nick Ehlers is back.
Ooh, best Jets forward.
8 points in 5 games or so, something like that now.
Man, it's just insane. He elevates the play so much. It's just not even funny. I seriously think outside of Connor McDavid, he's probably got the best zone entry in the entire NHL. Like, it is just clean every single time. That's just beautiful.
Well, he's got a great zone entry, and what he does really well is when he enters and he comes in through the high slot, he does a great job of putting a lot of fakes into what he does, into setting up. And a lot of times guys will come in and they'll just take that easy shot, just try to get past the little screen set up by the defense. But he's actually one of the forwards that will cut wide because he knows he can get the shot on the inside lane. And he does it all the time. And it's hilarious because unless you have the scouting report for it, you're setting yourself up to just go out the other way. And even the other night in Pittsburgh, it's the same move. He cuts out to his left side and then swings the shot back on the right side all day long.
And so 6-7 years he's been in the league already, and they still haven't been able to figure it out yet. So he's just that good. But this team, man, though, it's just the injuries we've talked about, all the win streak. Josh Morrissey being an all-star and being second right now in Norris voting, we already knew it, but just seeing it like that again, it's honestly hard to believe. It feels magical to an extent. Where has this all come from? It's hard to give credit to one area, but I pretty much give all the credit, honestly, to Rick Bowness. It's just,
yeah. He's the one variable.
He is.
Variable.
Minus some depth guys, this is the exact same team, arguably, from last year, with Cole Perfetti jumping in a little bit more. But still, it's almost identical, with arguably worse guys in some areas that have stepped up and have been incredible and played great hockey. And that only comes from coaching, and it just goes to show the Paul Maurice stuff. And then the complete culture with this stuff, man. It's all been, and the prospects, everything lately just has been on a complete upwards direction. I feel like the coaching staff right now, from Bonus all the way down to the last coach in the pecking order on the Moose, they believe in the system. They're getting all these guys bought into it. The Moose are succeeding. The youth is developing. The Jets are winning. Everything is firing on all cylinders right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. It feels like a team that's motivated and a team that understands that time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
Right now. This window has, if we're being honest here, the Jets' window, if you want to say the safest exit point of their window is in 2 years. Because in 2 years, you have to start making a lot of cap decisions that are very uncomfortable. So up until that point, you're pretty much just like, we need to win now.
Absolutely.
Because we're not going to get a chance. Like, and
the
don't get me wrong,
Hellebuyck window is expiring, and that is the most important aspect of this window. If you like, I'm not saying that Hellebuyck's just going to leave, ladies and gentlemen, but we don't know yet. We don't know what the future holds, and Connor Hellebuyck is the most important player on this team. He is the window.
Even if you re-sign him, it's worth noting, even if you re-sign him, the allocated amount of funds that you're putting in there is going to drastically take away from other areas of the ice. Like, I'll give you an easy example. Carey Price was an amazing goaltender. He got paid $10 million 1 year. Now, apart from the random variable being the North Division, where they go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and no, I do not count that as anything more than a random variable. That team was in 18th place going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. That team was never able to truly assemble a roster that complemented the goaltending tandem that they had. I fear that with the Winnipeg Jets, because I know how much that this team not only values Connor Hellebuyck, but also knows how badly they need him. Like, I don't think, like, and let's not get it twisted. This is not a bad hockey team. This is actually a very good hockey team. However, it is a good hockey team that understands its shortcomings and works around it. This team would not have the same level of success with a middle-of-the-road, like, goaltending. Like, this team would not even be as successful if you had a guy like Martin Jones in net. This team is, like, third in the Central, at best.
Bottom of the barrel there. You really picked top three worst.
No, lest we forget, Martin Jones is the starter on the best Seattle Kraken team in history as of late.
Of course, can't forget that very important variable.
The one thing though that I do wonder about Connor Hellebuyck, and it's something that he talks about all the time. They always ask him, hey Connor, like, you're having a fantastic season, but do you think you're gonna win the Vezina? And just questions around those, like, just around the Vezina and trophies and just extra awards. And he always comes back to one thing, and he says, I've only got one more trophy to get, and that's a Stanley Cup. I think that's what he said in his interview a couple weeks ago, and he said that when he won the Vezina. He said, I've only got one more thing to do now, and it's win the Stanley Cup. So I do wonder if he does decide when it is contract time to maybe take a little bit off. I don't think he's going to, but I do wonder if we do work out something.
It's going to be one of those things, though, like, where he'll say that he took a bit off, but if you look at the pricing on how it is, it's like what they said with, like, when Wheeler. Remember when Wheeler's like, we took a bit off to stay in Winnipeg.
We did?
Sure you did, Blake!
Even at the time, I was like, whew, that's not going to look good in 3 years.
Yeah, what did you take off?
Dude, that just says there's probably a team out there that offered him 10.
Buddy.
It definitely was. I'm sure there was. And but the thing is, though, it's what is Connor Hellebuyck going to do, and it's going to come down to what the Jets set up in front of him. And I thoroughly believe it's going to be a last-second kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be an extension like next season or something. It's going to go into the summer. They're gonna, if we still have Pierre-Luc Dubois at that time, we're going to have to figure out if we're re-signing him. And if he likes the vision that the Jets are building, I do think that he would be willing to take a little bit off. But I do think that he's definitely going to get his bag. And it's going to be a very secure deal, because I also believe that being recognized is important to Connor Hellebuyck.
Absolutely.
Let's also not, like, lose focus as well, like, because you mentioned it as well. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a priority.
I was just about to bring him up. I think he's something we definitely need to start talking about. If I'm not mistaken, it's been 3 weeks now since we've been able to actually sign him to an extension, eligible to extension. So we got to start talking about it, because his play has been unbelievable. He is second on the team in points. Like, we need to sign this man or figure out what his direction is, because he is a big part of the reason why we're succeeding this season.
Well, it's also worth noting that people, like, at the beginning of the year, and I think we can say some of us were one of them, we're at the point where wit's end, where we're just like, honestly, I can fucking go either way with this motherfucker.
Absolutely.
And now you're just like, honestly, you could murder a puppy, and I would still put you out on the first line. Like, it's to the point where he adds so many dimensions to the Winnipeg Jets because
he's kind of the perfect Jet center. Like, it's worked out perfectly. Like, Chevy was right in that trade for the line. He saw what he could be, and it's worked.
He's also incredibly unlikable, which is hilarious. Like, just add that. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I love Pierre-Luc Dubois on our team. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a dick. Like, Pierre-Luc Dubois is a dick. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a asshole. He hates losing. He whines when he loses, and I love him. I love him with everything in my fiber. Yeah, true Quebecois.
You know what though? It's so interesting. You know, we go from talking about Connor Hellebuyck, who his goals are to win a Stanley Cup, and you know that goes first, or at least that's the vibe I get off of him anyway. And you go to Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I wonder if that is top priority, or if top priority is, hey, I want to play at home, or I want to play where my family is, kind of thing, right? Because going back to last year, obviously the Montreal debacle went down, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do. Yeah, right? Oh, God, the draft,
like,
yeah.
It is insane to think about what happened at the draft and going into this season. Like, the drama surrounding the Jets at that point, it's honestly like, how was that, like, before this year? Like, it feels like from looking into last season. Like, it just doesn't feel real, like this team is playing the way they are.
That was 6 months ago. Not even 6 months ago.
Like, 6 months ago, Dubois was ready to be dealt at the draft. That was the direction this team was going in.
Bro thought he was getting dealt at the draft. They announced that they had a trade.
Yeah. Whether that's true or not, I do think that was the idea. I don't buy the thing that, oh, my bank invited me. I don't think that happened. I think if you wanted to go to the draft, you could have gone to the draft, Pierre.
Bro, I'd love if CIBC brought me out.
Yeah.
Right?
Hit us up.
Fuck it up.
Yeah, can we get a sponsor? Thanks. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be complicated for sure, because it's Scheifele, Hellebuyck, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and then you've got Brendan Dillon, who probably won't be back, and then you've got Dylan DeMello, who is low-key one of the better defensive defensemen in the league this year, and he's showing offense, so that is interesting,
I think
too.
DeMello will stay as long as Morrissey's here. I think as long as that bonus is here, and Morrissey being signed as long as being the longest tenured Jet right now on the roster, I think DeMello will sign. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed a 4-year contract extension at the end of this year. I
agree.
And also, too, it's worth noting where Dylan DeMello, and I understand people being frustrated about the logjam, but it's worth noting Dylan DeMello's spot is not a spot that is up for contention. Nobody that's coming up in our system is going to play with Josh Morrissey.
You want to know one other thing that's important, too, as well? When he signed his contract with the Jets, he signed a modified no-movement clause because he wanted to stay in Winnipeg. He brought his family here, and he's building a life here. That's something to really take into consideration when contract talk comes up.
He's also having a career year. Like, people that, like, and I think obviously you can notice it based on the fact that how many times you see him on the score sheet. He has 13 points. He's already passed his
14 points, actually. 13.
He's already passed
last year. Yeah.
He's already passed his last year's total. His season high, if I'm not mistaken, is 20 or 22.
His season high is 20 points, which were all 20 assists with the... Oh, no, excuse me. It was 22 points with the Ottawa Senators in 2018-19. That was his career best year, which also saw his career best in goals, which was 4. He's got 2 now, and I could totally see him getting 5 goals by the end of this year. I could see him breaking that. He just needs to get a little lucky. There's been times this year where I've sworn DeMello scored, but then they zoom in 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, and it's a tip goal. But it looks like it's his. So I could totally see him having that. I love it too. He deserves it, man. He's such a hard-working player, and Jackson. I saw you said this on Twitter. We exposed him in the draft for Seattle. And
the expansion draft.
I'll never forgive them for that, man. I remember how mad I was about that because of how important this guy was back then, and now you're seeing it.
And we took it back for Mason Appleton.
Yes, exactly. What was that trade again for? Like a 5th for Mason Appleton?
4th. We traded. No, it was a 4. We traded the 5 for Zach Sanford to make our playoff push.
And then we got the 5 back. For the 5th back from the Rangers?
Yep.
We've got 2 5ths this year. Ooh.
Question now, actually, because it's worth noting, because we kind of we've kind of alluded to this. Jets are getting healthy. What are the moves to still... Because, like, it's worth noting, like, if people keep getting healthy at this rate, we have too many people on our roster.
I was going to bring this conversation here, boys. Trust me. This was on my mind today.
So, so to recap, for anybody who doesn't know, the moves that they've already made, and they made it clear, are the first priority would be dropping down Jansen Harkins, which has actually been proven to be a successful one at that, because
Harkins is killing it with the moves too. Like, it's working really well.
The one time I thought they would. We tried again with Mikey Easymont. We can't win them all. San Jose took that immediately. And now we sit at a crossroads where we probably have to drop. Oh, how many forwards do you reckon? Because they moved Barron and Gustafson to IR. Yeah,
Barron's not on IR. Gus is, but
I think. Please, sorry, Jackson. I did not mean to.
Sorry, yeah, no. I wonder if once everybody's back here, because we're waiting on Appleton and Stanley. Right. I do think one of those guys, maybe not specifically Appleton or Stanley, but I do believe we're going to move out a couple players that are on the roster, whether they're depth or we look for an upgrade on the defense or something. I do believe someone's going to go there, so it wouldn't shock me if that eliminates a spot right there. But recently, Kevin Stenlund has been playing incredible.
Yep.
Well, not incredible, but better than David Gustafson offensively and defensively. He's been solid. And I wonder if Gus maybe gets pushed out for the time being and maybe sent to the Moose, because he's on a two-way deal. We wouldn't have to... Or wait, no. Isn't he on a one-way?
David
That's
Gustafson
true.
is...
Okay, we can't do that then.
Except David Gustafson currently on IR right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also, too, like, it's worth noting that not to question the legitimacy of everything, but they literally stuffed Saku Maenalainen on a line and then said, "And you're injured, and you're injured, and we're good. All right, no math today," and just sent them away. They sent them to the press box. Like,
hey, whatever works, man. Whatever works. And another thing, I gotta say one quickly, I love that about Rick Bowness. Paul Maurice last year was always so fucking determined on his roster that, like, he'd know he was playing in that game a week beforehand. And, like, with Bowness, it's like comes down to the wire. I feel like every game, it's like, yeah, you never know. You know, here's what was reported in the morning, but you don't know if that's what you're gonna get for the game. It's very hit or miss this year.
I love the gamesmanship, but it is slightly schizophrenic. Like, I love it.
Though. But rotating the depth in has worked this year, though, man. It's kept everyone hot.
Just all those weird-ass tricks, and it's just like, oh, let's see who we got today. Nope. Fuck! And it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I keep hearing Ville Heinola get the flu, and that's the problem with half of these fucking movies. But
yeah, but the whole Ville Heinola thing, it's such a fucked up argument at this point, because it's like everyone knows he should play now. It's been proven he's NHL ready. He's played great the last 4 or 5 games he's drawn in, and it's like, you know, what are you gonna do though? This is a healthy decor now. You've got so many guys. Like we've got so many guys. Like we've talked about before. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna scratch Nate Schmidt or Brendan Dillon that are making almost $4 and $6 million respectively, and scratch them out for Ville and be like, oh yes, this is what we do now? It makes sense if you want to try to win, but at the same time, these are serviceable, good NHLers. You know, like. They're so screwed right now when it comes to that. Like, they've got so much depth.
My thing right now is, look, I love Ville Heinola, and I hope that he, ends up being a Winnipeg Jet, but this franchise and organization has just decided that they don't really want that to happen, or they haven't been making it a priority as much as maybe they should have in the past couple of years. And, of course, everything's pretty different now with Rick Bowness instead of Paul Maurice, and we've got a much better assistant coach bench than we did just a year ago. But if you are looking to win now, if that means you have to move on from a guy like Ville Heinola, and he's one of the bigger pieces in a move to, try to bring a cup home, I'd rather have a Stanley Cup to look back at than...
I just think that there's better ways on making this team better than shedding Ville Heinola.
For sure.
I think that's all I would go with there. But I do agree with you. I'm not saying force him into the lineup because, that's what I want. I want this team to win. Like
You're-
it's like the old thing back in the day when you have a hot goaltender. It doesn't matter if he's played 13, 14 games in a row. They playing the hot goaltender. It's just what you do. When a goalie's hot, you ride him, and it's the same thing with the team with the decor, with the forward lines. You ride what's working, and this is working now. It's healthy. The Jets find themselves in this particular spot where they can shed guys on a run to a cup to run potentially, and then still add guys in different spots that might benefit them further down the run in a playoff situation. And that's what I think is the most interesting aspect about this team in trade talks, is that you could move out a guy like Brendan Dillon or Nate Schmidt, plug in a Ville Heinola, and then add to your forward core with that spared cap if you find ways to do that. And that's going to be the interesting aspect of this is, last year the Jets did this weird thing where they were not a playoff team at all, but they acted like they were at the deadline. The Mason Appleton acquisition, the Stanford acquisition, but then they sell guys like Andrew Kopp, and it's like, okay, obviously you can't keep Kopp going forward, so it makes sense to trade him, but then why are you acquiring talent? This year it's going to be the same type of thing, but they're going to actually find themselves in a spot to add to this team and make them better, as well as moving out potential guys that they might lose anyway. And I think that's what's going to make the Jets such an interesting team to trade with for teams going into the deadline. I think you'll see the Winnipeg a lot in the news is basically where I'm going with this. I wonder if you guys feel the exact same way, or if you're different or whatever. Give me the feelings.
I definitely do. I do think that this is going to be the all-in year, and I do think it's going to be the spring of Chevy, if I had to guess. I think that he's going to at least try to find a big fish to add to this team. It's, obviously with no move clauses and stuff like that, Winnipeg's on 90% of them. So it might be a little bit tough, but I do think that Chevy is going to look at adding somebody that's, going to make this team better, whether that's a top six forward, whether that's an upgrade on the defense. Maybe we go out, we get Jacob Chychrun. I don't know. Probably not, but I do think there is a lot of room for growth with this team still, and a lot of room for improvement, because Blake Wheeler on the third line, that would look pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Right?
They did it with Brian Hoyle on the 2017-18 run, and it worked out great for the depth.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also it's worth noting, because we mentioned this about Winnipeg being on a lot of no movement clauses. It is worth noting, though, on the bright side, the majority of the time that those are implemented is with thought that I'm not going to Winnipeg to play there for many years. The majority of the guys you're looking to pick up at the deadline are on expiring contracts, so hopefully 90% of them will be null and void. And also, too, it's worth noting, when you're on a shit team at the deadline, beggars really can't be choosers much. Like, you kind of have to just sit there and be like,
Winnipeg's going to be a cup contender this year. I don't think people are going to have problems coming here.
Well, if they're still in the top three for the Central Division at that point, you can't have somebody sitting on for like let's say Anaheim and being like, no, I don't give a fuck that I'm having a contract year next season. I'm gonna ride this out for the rest of the 82 games. Like, no. People don't want to play meaningless hockey. They don't want the game that they're playing to be worthless. They want to be playing in important hockey and playoff hockey. So no matter what, if there is no moving clauses out there, as long as you are a good enough team and a team that looks capable enough to take that next step, you will find enough suitors.
No, for sure. Like, I don't think it's like a lack of suitors for the team. I just mean like guys like Josh Manson. The Jets tried to trade for him twice, and he didn't waive his no move. That was just the point I was making there. But yeah, I don't know.
Of the power of Paul Stastny in a phone call to Nate Schmidt.
Exactly. Now we don't have Uncle Paul anymore, but now we have Rick Bowness, the Godfather, here to. And Sam Gagner.
He's got a lot of pull around the league right now. He seems like a good guy in the locker room. He's played for a lot of teams. He's played for the Canucks. That could be good.
Yeah.
Sam Gagner, that's a fascinating signing. Like, it's such
Sam Gagner is the perfect way to put it. He fascinates me as a player. For the Jets.
Wanted to know how did we come to the conclusion that we needed him, and then how are we right? Like,
how did what I want to know is like because you know why? I swear to God, Chevy and the coaching staff, they looked at this guy. The way the coaches probably talked about Gagner, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know exactly which player it is, but they have a connection with Rick Bowness or whatever it might be. I remember reading that somewhere. I'm probably wrong, but either way, there was some relationship there with someone that they knew. I knew that as a fact with some coach, and it feels like Chevy saw like a Matthew Perreault 2.0 in him in a way. Because that's kind of exactly what he's been for this team, is that he's played up and down the lineup. He's an energy guy, power play at times, penalty kill at times. It doesn't really matter because he's, he can keep up with almost anybody. He's not going to be a consistent guy for you on the first line, but if you need him there, he'll play hard for you and he'll succeed. He's scored how many 3 or 4 game winners this year already? Huge goals in really important games. Like, he has been very clutch this year, and he's making $750K. Like, that is one of the best signings of last offseason when you look at the production of what you're getting out of a guy everywhere in your lineup. Like, he plays in every unit.
That was such a weird weekend. We didn't sign Evgeny Svechnikov, then 2 days later they're like, oh, but we got Sam Gagner.
And somehow it's worked better.
Here's your celebratory Sam Gagner.
Dude, if someone would have told me that Sam Gagner would have a better season than Evgeny Svechnikov for the Winnipeg Jets, I would laugh. I'd be like, no way, you're passing on a young player that can grow. And Sam Gagner, he wants to win. He's hungry. Every time he steps out there, man, and he scores a goal, it's like he's never scored a goal in his career. And I love that about him.
I love that. Okay, actually, real talk here. The biggest thing I hate about our team is that we have a bunch of fucking statues on our fucking team. When they score, it's like they scored 900 goals already. Nobody shows any fucking emotion when they put the puck in the net except Sam Gagner. I haven't seen Cole Perfetti smile in months.
I love that about Cole Perfetti. He plays hockey like a 40-year-old man and like just playing with his eyes full buds. Like he has no emotion, and he's like, "Oh, good pass there, bud. Hey, that was a good one." That's
always miserable, man. He doesn't even talk. Like, he doesn't even raise his voice. He's just like, "Yep, good job."
That's why the Jets took him, man. They're like, we need a guy that does not care about cities and stuff like that. We just need a quiet guy that plays hockey. We need a Mark Scheifele 2.0.
And you see the change too, like, because they used to show so much emotion. Like, Josh Morrissey used to have such boyish charm, and now he's just like, "Yep, let's go." Fucking Mark Scheifele used to be all foul. Now he's just like, "Yeah, let's freaking go, boys," and like goes off. Nikolai Ehlers will score. He used to like scream and shit. Now he just looks like he looks so angry.
Dude,
when he scores.
Ehlers looks like a man on a mission. He's just like, I'm tired of being injured. I want to play hockey and I want to win. And that's just every time he steps on the ice, it looks like he's got nothing left in his life. Like, he's just like, I'm ready to give it all right now.
Every time he scores, it reminds me of that called out interview on Bardown where he's like, "Did they all just vote me?" Like, about who's like the angry message group. And it looks like that emotion he's just permanently wearing on his face wherever he goes.
Away.
Yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, they're celebrating so much this season from the wins and everything. My favorite celebration this year, it was part of the jacket ceremony after the players get their jackets for like unsung hero, I believe it is, and then player of the game.
That the bonus is brought in. It's kind of like the old helmet they had, but it's even better. I feel like with how they're doing it around.
Way better, and I love it. And Cole Perfetti had he had a flu bug or something, a lot of stomach issues, and then I think Carson Coleman gave the jacket to Cole Perfetti after the Pittsburgh game, and I think it was Nate Schmidt. I'm not sure who it was in the background, but they're just yelling, "My tummy!" and that had me dying. So I thought that was really funny.
Oh, that's totally Nate Schmidt, man. I can't play, coach. My tummy. Goes out and gets 3 assists.
No, we gotta. I don't know, for a team that's really just the same. We got a lot of characters on this team now. Obviously, Nate Schmidt was there last year,
but makes me wonder even more what the hell happened in that room the last couple of years with Paul Maurice. How can this team go from that to this in a few months? It just baffles me. It's almost unbelievable. I don't think I've seen this type of culture change in the NHL in a very long time.
Was it Sergeant Paul Stastny keeping everybody too upright in there, or
I still can't believe we didn't trade Paul at the deadline. They fucking made an order. They're like, "Yeah, you're not trading Stastny away."
Don't even get me started on that.
And teams were like, I guarantee you there were teams calling about Stastny last year because he was so clutch, and we could have got
high value.
Can you imagine if they were able to successfully pull off 2 potential first-round deals like that with the Cop and Stastny? Because they could have made the same type of deal or similar deal like that. Either way.
Imagine if they could have recouped one of those seconds that they lost in the Brandon Dillon trade. Because I think they definitely could have gotten a second for him.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
at least.
I wouldn't have cared for a second-round pick in this last draft. I would have liked a second-round pick in next draft.
Any one of them. Anyone.
This year,
Also, one thing that I think is super interesting, and I really wish we still had our second round pick for this season because of that. Teams are valuing that second round pick just because of how seismic this current draft is, the Connor Bedard draft. They're valuing, like Elliot Friedman said this on his podcast with Jeff Merrick, and he was saying that like teams are almost valuing the second round pick this year more than a first round pick.
They think
2
there's
years
gonna be
down the line.
that many guys falling to the second round that are like our first round, like mid first rounders are gonna fall.
Yep.
Then the Jets
Yeah,
take in on
that's
that.
kinda-
Even more reason to trade well,
For
it's
sure.
a Nate Schmidt or a Brendan Dillon, somebody to go bring in something. Because if you're gonna go all in, and you're gonna move your first, you gotta bring in a second in this year's draft. You have to take someone in the top 60 or 60, whatever the picks are now. But either way,
Honestly, I don't know if they necessarily have to. I would love it if they
I
could.
only say that because I know that they're going to move out a couple prospects if we do go down that route of adding. And
that's
what I
true.
want. I just want someone from this year just to have as like a backdoor type guy in case whoever we keep out of this current crop doesn't work out.
Worst case scenario, though, what you can do, though, is you don't trade at the deadline to grab the picks. You go through the playoffs with that accumulate.
Absolutely. Off-season draft, that too.
Well, not even just trade, but you can legit wait till draft day just to get it done. Like, it doesn't have to be that big. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it can be that way back just to get you trade picks. Fuck, send him to New York. Lou Lamoriello doesn't believe in drafting. Send him to New York. Like, fuck.
No, but
One thing that I keep running through my brain, and we talked about it a little bit earlier on here with the pod with Pierre-Luc Dubois, is if you do go all out and you trade one of your first round picks, you throw in a prospect and maybe, I don't know, a player or something like that, maybe a depth player like Mason Appleton and make money work or something. If you are really keen on bringing back those assets that you brought out, and maybe even more than what you're paying at the deadline, if Pierre-Luc Dubois is a guy that is going to tell you, I'm not going to re-sign here, and if I play here throughout next season, you're going to lose me for nothing, then we have to get rid of Pierre-Luc Dubois while he's at the top of his game, having a career year.
Is this like a Trouba 2.0 type thing where you can't re-sign him, so you move his rights after and just get the pick back?
I think you do it a year before.
they got lucky with the Rangers situation. They backed themselves into a corner, and he picked where he wanted to go at that point.
Yeah, for sure. But I think this year, let's say we go on, we have a really nice Stanley Cup run, everybody's celebrating, woohoo. And we're like, damn, you know what? That's great, but we're not going to have Pierre-Luc Dubois after this season. He just told Chevy, hey, I'm going to go play in Montreal. I'm going to go sign there for whatever, right? Doesn't matter how much you pay me. I'm not coming back. Imagine the value the Jets could get back for Pierre-Luc Dubois if he keeps playing the way he is right now. It's insane. What is he, 25? 24, 25?
like that.
1 second right now. Pierre-Luc Dubois is 24 years old. His birthday's in June.
24-year-old. Yep, 24-year-old center, 25 at the time of the draft. And you have a guy that you can trade, and you're going to bring in what? Let's say he gets point-a-game player this season for a 24-year-old center.
This is going to be his. If he keeps this up, this will be his career best year. So,
Yeah,
for points and
for sure. So I just keep looking at that, and I keep wondering, I'm like, man, if the Jets really go in this year, are they really going to use him as a rental, or are they going to just find another second-line center like Bo Horvat?
That's what I keep
Like
coming back to as
somebody like
well.
that.
But there's just so many variables, like we said, because
Yeah.
do they keep it the way it is? I think that Chevy would rather lose him for nothing and go all in this year and spend the assets, and then have to
for sure.
worry about finding like I said, like because Trouba really backed the Jets into a corner there, and I'm not going to say Neil Pionk is an amazing player and we won that trade because Trouba's obviously been better as of late as the Rangers have, but it's you got lucky with that, right? Ville Heinola is a good prospect. That's what he is right now. He's a serviceable NHL guy, and then you get a top 4 guy out of Pionk, but you don't know if you're gonna get that type of luck again. And if you find if Pierre-Luc Dubois forces you to Montreal, especially with the way Montreal's playing right now, they're not gonna want to part with their young guys, especially for Dubois. And do we want those young guys in particular? I don't necessarily think so. So there's just so many angles with this, and we again, not even talking about the big names. We never even really got into depth about what's going to happen with this roster because, are you really going to take Logan Stanley and plug him in and get rid of Dylan Sandberg after the way that Sandberg's played? You know, is Mason Appleton really going to bump out 4 guys in that bottom 6 that have been absolutely stellar and clutch for us when we've had no injury with all the injuries we've had? There's just, I don't see it happening.
You do not know how badly I want Logan Stanley to be moved at the deadline.
I think he gets moved before the deadline, man.
I want it with every fiber in my being. I'd trade him for a 5th.
I think that's exactly what you're gonna get.
You don't need him. Not only do you not need him, here's the thing. Either you trade him for a 5th or he's a waiver claim in a week.
Exactly.
There's nothing that he does that you don't get from someone else. And if anyone brings up how tall he is, I swear to Christ, I'm gonna kick them in their 6'7". He does nothing. All he did was get 1 assist and then re-broke his ankle. Congratulations, you idiot.
One thing that I thought was kind of funny, going back to Elliot Friedman here, with the news that Rick Tocchet is probably taking over as head coach of the Canucks in a week or 2 here, he mentioned that big defensemen are on his list because you can't build a contender without big defensemen. And I just kind of laughed. I'm like, oh, maybe Logan Stanley will get thrown into a trade from a guy from Vancouver.
Logan Stanley. The trade is 1 for 1.
Yeah, Tucker Pullman coming back the other way.
Yeah. Oh, you can have all those Jets legends. You can put Tyler Myers and Logan Stanley on the same pairing.
That's alumni blue line.
Yeah, you can put Tucker Pullman on there. Who else can we dump over there? I mean, we took Nate Schmidt from them.
Give Nate Schmidt back.
Yeah, the cap dump. Crazy.
Hey,
have you ever heard of the AHL player Leon Gowanka? Here you go.
Yeah. Stuff that blue line.
Guys, I think Leon could be a trade asset, you know? Throwing his name out there, Zach, that's actually a good thing to go on, an underrated thing, because you look at Declan Chisholm, who just got his first AHL All-Star nomination. He's having an incredible year, both defensively and offensively. Does he make this a push to the NHL quite soon, And
or does he? Leon, the Kovacevic fucker.
No, I don't think. Look, I'm just gonna say this because I just think that I think Declan Chisholm is a very underrated asset this team has always been able to have. I've talked about this time and time again, and I always will stand by it because it's perfect player usage as a GM. You use a guy, you get out everything you can out of him, and then you move that piece to bring in more talent for the future. And that's exactly what they've done with Declan Chisholm. So they better not waste him for nothing and waste all these years of developing and managing picks to bring him in. A great 5th round selection just to be like, all right, have fun in Montreal. No, that's not happening.
Trade him for a rental.
That is not happening. I think you keep him as a wild card player just down the road. You move guys like Leon. You move maybe you move a Sandberg at the deadline. There's a team interested in him. Think that he can be what they need to make a top 4 push. I don't know. Maybe he's got potential. I think he does anyway. But again, I don't know what happens with this team, and that's what intrigues me the most about it. Is because they're winning now. So whatever they do, it's only going to make them better, and that is so exciting to think about, And the other thing, too, who the hell saw the Paul Stastny thing coming when it happened way back when in 2017? Nobody saw that trade coming, and from a mile away. Paul Stastny was on no list as trade deadline targets. Nobody had him. He was the first trade of the morning, too. Jets had him done. They knew what they wanted, and they made that done early, and there was their big splash. So you never know with Chevy. You never know who he's calling. You never know what he's got in the works. And we could see something that no one has expected on deadline day or the day before it in the middle of the night again. So I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a wild card. And I'm sure we'll get a little bit more clarity as we get closer here. We still have quite a while away, but now fires are starting to be lit and smoke is starting to go.
Whenever the All-Star game is, I don't remember. I think it's on the 23rd or something
first weekend.
Oh, was it first weekend? Okay.
I think it's first weekend of February. I could be wrong. I'm totally off with.
No, you're probably right. I don't think it's next week or something like that. I think you're right, Jackson. So I think after that's when you'll really start to hear all the news come out. Usually how it goes. Once the All-Star game, that's the next big thing is trade deadline. So that's when all the articles will be published. All the rumor sites will be activated, and we'll see the Twitter mill and all those accounts be doing their same routine as they do every year. So we'll be able to see a lot more.
And you'll be getting videos from us.
Absolutely, you know it. My favorite time of year. I book off the trade deadline every day at work. Every year at work
Me
now,
too.
man. It's just I have to. I love it. It's one of my favorite
fun.
days.
Last year. That was
Jackson's in on the call this year with us, huh? Get him in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you going to be on the 7-8 hour marathon?
We set alarms, man. Make coffee, wake up, and we turn on TV, and we just wait, refresh Twitter all day.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be there.
All the things that we got Libor Hayjack for Andrew.
I'll never forget that.
My God.
Me and Zach were shitting our pants, man. Like, we were like freaking out. I almost fucking broke my PlayStation controller. I think we were playing Battlefront, and at that point, and we were refreshing Twitter as we played, and holy shit. I was ready to break everything in my room when I saw that.
Oh my God. I was on the Jet-centric Twitter spaces losing my mind because I thought we acquired Libor Hayek or whatever his name is.
It was just that. And nothing else. And I could not take that.
The deal was 1 for 1.
Oh, man. Just like that Ivan Provorov. 1 for 1, with Patrick Laine. Let's do it.
Oh my God. Yeah, and a lot of people on your video, Jake, if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. Jake made a really good video explaining that situation. But what a lot of people were like, oh, I don't think the trade was 1 for 1, Jake. Yeah, it was. The trade was literally straight up Laine for Provorov.
And even if it wasn't 1 for 1 and he was the centerpiece and we got back maybe a depth forward or a 4th round pick, is Patrick Laine for Ivan Provorov as the centerpiece trade make any sense to anybody? No. It doesn't matter if it's 1 for 1. It doesn't matter if you're getting a 5th back with it or a depth prospect. That does not make sense. So I appreciate the comments, ladies and gentlemen, as always, but ask yourselves, do you really want Provorov as the centerpiece? Because that's the question. But, like, you know, like, because it's like, that just made me laugh, because it's like, I didn't like the Dubois move when it went down. I could not imagine where I would have been if Provorov was the guy that was centered around. I don't think I'd be a Jets fan.
In jail.
I don't think I'd be a Jets fan anymore.
I'm in
data. Like, that might have killed my fandom for like a little bit. You know, channel might have died. I might have never fucking continued with this because I would have been that angry. Like, how could you do that? Because like that just would have been the 2.0 version of the Taylor Hall for Adam Larson.
Yeah, actually, that's
like,
such a good
exactly
comparison. Actually.
We need defense, so we're just going to take the best guy available in a trade and move out our best forward, because that's how we manage our hockey team.
Chris Draper for $1, but yeah, that one's good too.
Chris
Hey, different times, Zach. Different times. Different times.
Same old Jets.
Hey, man, the Manitoba promise with Manitoba didn't even want to buy the team, man. They sold their rights to the team.
Was it a Canadian dollar? Like, do you think they just threw him a loony and just said, "Here you go"?
Basically,
it was
a
euro.
I don't remember what it was.
Euro, a pound.
A pound.
But
that's like $1.25. That's a steal.
You
could buy a quarter of Chris Draper with your full Chris Draper.
For sure. Anything else you guys want to comes to mind about anything with hockey right now? I don't know.
Not at this time of night, no.
Honestly, I'm forgetting what time it is. It doesn't even feel that late. I was exhausted before we started this, but then for some reason, the conversation woke me up a little bit. I think I'm gonna go get some chicken at a 24-hour chicken joint at my house now. So I'll send it back to you guys. We'll express it. 3 provinces away. I'll get my Uber dude. I'll just give him $100 tip and be like, go Highway 1 that direction. Don't stop.
Oh, generous guy. Here's 100 for gas.
Oh man, see how far it gets him. stranded halfway to Banff.
No, I don't got nothing else. It is currently 3:28 a.m. here Central Time in Winnipeg, and I am.
Oh, I got
getting real tired here.
Not anything, a question though, or anything. I just want to say it as a time capsule. Yes or no? Does Connor Hellebuyck get voted in? Just to see where our thoughts were right now. This was the Twitter poll. The Twitter voting closed today at 12 o'clock. So, does he get in, Zach? I say yes.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have 3 yeses. Let's see if we're absolute fools, or let's see if we got this right whenever that gets announced. But thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Prairie Puck Podcast. Make sure to go check out all 3 of our individual channels down in the description below to stay up to date with all of our individual content as well as shared content. All social medias and all other affiliated links are down in the description as well, so feel free to check that stuff out. As always, really do appreciate all the support on these videos and all of our individual content. So thank you guys. Peace, love, and positivity as always. Go Jets, go. And we'll be back for another episode very, very soon.